Hey everyone, so I've been doing a lot of driving the last few days. I'm actually out in Northern California right now visiting some friends, and I thought I'd take some time. I've been getting a lot of questions about stuff that I use in my cooking segments in my videos, different types of utensils, dishes, my pressure cooker, stove. So I thought I'd take some time to show you my current setup and the stuff that I'm using. So first off, we'll start off with the stove that I use. This is made by Coleman. This is called the Coleman Power Pack single burner stove. It is a propane stove, and it will run off the standard 1-pound bottles of propane, which I do keep a few of these on hand kind of as backup, but for this stove I actually use it with a bulk tank, so I'll show you how that works. This is the bulk tank that I use. It's not your standard like barbecue grill tank, which is a 20-pound. This is a 5-pound, which equals approximately 5 of these. But because they can't technically be filled up completely, you can really get about 4.5 of these in there. So the big benefit with this is, for one, they're refillable. Although these can be refilled, I prefer to just have this and refill this, and it can get me by for months at a time just using it for cooking. So really handy, really cheap to use and refill, and all you really need is an adapter hose. So I'll try to do my best to leave links for all the stuff that I use, Amazon links. That's where I got a lot of this. So this was a very good setup for me. I currently still use it, but I'll talk about some of the drawbacks about this stove. As you can see, it's just completely flat and has a really wide base. That's definitely a positive. It can handle a big, heavy pot on it. But one of the drawbacks is, as you can see, there's no windscreen or like splatter guard. Most of the double burner Coleman stoves, they have like a fold-up lid and sides that will actually protect the wind and keep the splatter from, getting on stuff around it. So issue with this is using it outside. If there's a breeze or wind, you either have to make a makeshift windscreen, or it's just going to be blowing out the flame, or you'll have the flame up on high because of the wind, and it will be less efficient because most of the heat is getting blown away with the wind. So that's really the drawback. I actually use this mostly inside the van unless it's a very calm day outside. I have been very happy with this. I've been using it for almost 4 years now, but I do think I am going to upgrade to a standard Coleman, the green double burner with the fold-up top. And the benefit of that is, of course, having the extra burner for some of the things I do. It'd really be convenient to have a second burner there. And also, when it's folded closed, it's a nice flat surface, so like on my little kitchen table in the van, I could still put stuff on top of it when I'm not using the stove, just to set something there. So although I do recommend this, I'm going to probably upgrade to the double burner. Okay, so next up we'll look at some of the things that I use with that stove. Most commonly, my fry pans, my teapot for making coffee, my pour over coffee filter maker that I use, and just a double walled insulated cup. Although this looks like a standard solo cup, a disposable cup, it's not. It's double walled, so it's insulated. You can put hot or cold stuff in there, and it's really strong. And this is something I use a lot. Like I said, you can put hot stuff in there and it keeps it warm. Cold, and it works very good with my Melita 2-cup coffee filter. This is just a pour over coffee filter. You can get these on Amazon. Again, I'll try to leave links for all this stuff. They sell coffee filters that fit in there. Just pour your coffee in, put it on top, boil some water, pour it in, and you've got a nice hot cup of coffee. Okay, the next two things I use the most on my stove are these cast iron skillets. These are made by Lodge. You can get these on Amazon as well. This is a 8-inch. And this is a 10 1/4 inch. And between these two, they pretty much fit all my needs. I can cook a lot of different things in here. They're deep enough to where you can use it as almost like a saucepan as well. So I just love cast iron. They're easy to clean. You just got to keep them seasoned, well seasoned, and they really will last a lifetime. I do have a little silicone kind of hot grip for it. Works well on the bigger one, but on the smaller one it's a little loose, so if you with the weight of the pan, it tends to kind of slip out, which is not good if it's hot. So I typically will just use a rag or towel and grab the hot handle till I get my food out of it. Really happy with these, and I use them pretty much for almost every meal. I do keep just a couple saucepans as well for boiling water for making pasta, and a strainer for straining that pasta. Pasta is something you eat a lot cooking in the van. It's just really convenient and pretty nutritious. I also have another little camping style pot that I'll use for smaller portions of pasta a lot, and it's very convenient because you can just put the lid on, fold the handles, and it nests inside this other one. This isn't a set. These are just two pots that I've had for a really long time and just kind of held on to them. And next up is something that I use quite frequently for making rice or cooking other types of beans, dry beans and that. One of the things with using a camp stove and having a limited amount of propane is cooking stuff like dry beans usually can take a really long time. They need to be boiled for like 30 minutes to an hour, sometimes even more. And rice can take up to 20 minutes. So with a pressure cooker, that really cuts the time way down, so you're using a lot less fuel. So I have this little 1.5 liter Hawkins pressure cooker. I'll leave a link for this. They do make, this is the smallest one, and they make sizes all the way up from there up to really big ones. They're fairly simple the way they work. They do have an O-ring here, and you just slide the lid in there. There's a little fulcrum point and a little latch on the back. You just squeeze that and it's set. And then you've got your little weight there. It works out really good. Like I said, this is my go-to thing for cooking rice. I can do rice in about 5 to 7 minutes of actually time on the stove, and then you pull it off and let it sit, and it's still cooking under pressure, so you're not burning that fuel. So this is a real fuel saver as well as time saver as well. I also have a couple cutting boards on hand as well. I use bamboo cutting boards. I got a couple different sizes. It's just really handy to do my prep on these. I have a limited counter space inside the van, basically just enough room for the stove. So I have a little method where I can wedge this in between the drawer and the tabletop, and it'll sit there and I can prep my vegetables and food on this cutting board and then be able to move it out and add the ingredients to the pan. So it works out really good. I like to have a second smaller one too. I use this a lot for just a surface to set hot pans on. I'll do most of my food prep on this one, but as because I have a one burner, I may pull one skillet off while the food's still in it and the skillet's still warm, have a surface to set that pan on, and then I could add another pan or a pot or something to the stove and finish off cooking the other portion of the meal. So it's just handy to have a couple cutting boards. Okay, so for dishes, I keep it real simple as well. I just have one bowl. And for plates, I use these stainless steel. These are actually sold as range covers. I believe that you like turn them upside on top of like a gas range to protect them when they're not in use. But I thought they'd make a great camp plate, so I bought a set of these. Two different sizes. I do use them both. They work great. The only drawback is it's stainless steel, so if you're eating something that you're going to be cutting with a sharp knife, you're going to dull your knife on the plate, so you might want to cut first on like a cutting board, then put your food on the plate. The other thing I really like about these is they just coincidentally happen to fit as covers on my cast iron skillets. The small one happens to fit right on top there, which works out really good. Only drawback with that is they do get really hot and there's no handle, so you just have to use like a dish towel or something and be careful when you remove the lid. But it works out really good. The big one fits on the big skillet, so perfect. So now for the fun part of cooking is doing dishes when you're all done. So I have two different methods that I use. Typically I just stick with this first method I'll show you, and that's just cleaning with standard white distilled vinegar. I just buy it in a bottle like this. Sometimes I'll get a bigger jug, but living in a small space, I'll usually go with the small one and pour it into a spray bottle. I'll take my dirty dish, just spray it down. That'll loosen up anything that's on there, break up the oils. It's actually antibacterial as well. And then I have these neat towels. I actually got these from Trader Joe's. I think they market them as a reusable paper towel. Although it's not paper, it's a special fiber that's highly absorbent, and you can clean them out, rinse them, and reuse them over and over, and they last way longer than a paper towel would. So they are reusable, that way you're not wasting paper towels. I just take and wipe that vinegar out with all the food particles that would be there, and then I can take and spray it one more time as like a rinse, and then just wipe that off with a clean part of the towel, and then the dishes are done. Super simple, and I usually don't even need a dish pan because everything's getting absorbed into the towel, but I will eventually have to wash and rinse this out. So I'll show you how I do that in an alternate method to do dishes as well. So of course you've noticed this dish pan here. This is neat. It's very convenient for travel and camping because it is collapsible. It's got that blue silicone band there that allows it to collapse pretty thin, and then you can just pop it right back open. Works really good. You can fill this with warm water that you've boiled on your camp stove, add some soap. I typically like to use, this is a great all-around soap, Dr. Bronner's. I like the peppermint, and you can dilute it for all sorts of different needs. It works great for dish soap, and it's very earth-friendly, so works really good. Now I typically never heat up water on my camp stove to do dishes or to clean my wash rags and towels because I have this thing that I'll show you here. A lot of you have seen it before. So this is my portable shower dishwashing, or basically just pressurized water system. It is a weed sprayer bottle that I painted black, and then I added a little nozzle that's like a sink sprayer nozzle, so you get a nice, let's see if it's pressurized. Yeah, you get a nice stream out of that. And it being painted black, you can set it out in the sun and the water warms up to a nice warm temperature, so you could either shower off, rinse off outside with it, or of course wash dishes with it. So I'll, like I said, leave this out in the sun, gets nice and warm, and I can set this down on the ground, have it pumped up and pressurized, and take my dishpan and dishes, and as normal, either fill up a little bit here with the warm water, add some soap, and then be able to wash and rinse my dishes. So it works out really good, although I don't use it that often because the vinegar method is just so much more convenient. You're not wasting as much water and having to dump the dishwater somewhere. So I feel like both methods are just as efficient, but for me the vinegar is just most convenient. Well, that pretty much wraps it up for my camp cooking setup and dishwashing setup. I hope that answered a lot of the questions you guys had out there. We'll see you in the next video. Take care. Peace.